How did a North Dakota Republican woman and her immigrant husband wind up as registered Democrat voters in Kentucky's 2019 election? The audio recording you're about to listen to should prompt immediate investigations into the 2019 Kentucky election. A North Dakota resident contacted the Kentucky Board of Elections to find out why herself and her immigrant husband were registered to vote in Kentucky this election.
Good morning, Kentucky State Board of Elections. This is...
Hi, it's Tori again. I was speaking to my husband as well, and I was trying to explain something to him. And I told him that you're going to be sending the email because, like I told you, we work with the AG, and he took care of it in 2016.
Tori alleges that she made sure to remove herself from the Kentucky voter registration rolls in 2016. She even went as far as to communicate directly with the Secretary of State's office. To make matters worse, her husband, who's a legal immigrant yet ineligible to vote in the United States, was somehow registered to vote in Kentucky as a Democrat, which could place his immigration status in jeopardy.
How were we off in 2018?
No, I cannot tell you that that's how. But the only reason that stands is recently we were in litigation. We had, through the course of this last, what's called list maintenance, deemed 175,000 voters as inactive. And then through litigation from different individual agencies, partners, individuals, that suit required us to add those 175,000 back in.
Democrats in Kentucky are suing the State Board of Elections. They claim that the board put 175,000 Kentucky voters on an inactive list. This means that they would not be able to cast a ballot on Election Day next month. In a statement, the Democratic Party Chairman Ben Self says they filed the lawsuit to prevent, quote, unfair burdens on voters.
175,000 purged voters were put back on the Kentucky voter registration rolls just weeks before the election. Why? Because the Democrat Attorney General at the time, who also was the incumbent, decided to sue to have them placed back on the rolls.
Now, you said the only way you knew that in 2018 is you checked and you weren't on. The only way I can envision that happened is through that process.
And like I said, my concern in 2016 was, because everyone was talking about all this election fraud, I was like, what if someone votes, on behalf of my husband, then he's going to get automatically deported? That's automatic deportation.
And that was my first red flag when you called, was how, first and foremost, how was he able to register?
The fact that it has me as a Democrat is insane.
So I can start investigation of this for you, Ms.
Yeah.
Again, I will emphasize to you that the process for retention on any type of correspondence from 18 has passed.
Right.
We're right at that 22-month period. So only thing I can do is right now ensure you the method for removal. I have spoken to my executive director in reference to the situation.
Right.
And that's the best avenue I can find for you right now to ensure that you are not on these voter rolls. Now,
right.
On that, and you're speaking to the AG's office in 18, that's something that's beyond my controls.
But it's not really funny when I see that we were removed and added back on. It's a little bit crazy, right?
Right. And it's not the only time that I've seen that happen.
Notice that this official at the Kentucky Board of Elections has mentioned that this seems to happen numerous times with immigrants.
Individuals who are and hold green card and are able to get driver's licenses, unfortunately, are erroneously registered here. And then when they go through the process of naturalization, they find that out, and they have to go through a lengthy process to ensure that is denoted so they can re-register.
How convenient. Immigrants go to the DMV to register to have a driver's license. Then, somehow, mysteriously and illegally, they are registered to vote and put on the Kentucky voter rolls. Nonetheless, registered somehow as Democrat, And then when they find out about this, when they go and try to complete their immigration process, they then are left to deal with the blowback and go through a long, lengthy process to try to fix the situation.
And unfortunately, that error is on the part of the circuit clerks. You can pass legislation in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. We've had the motor voter law established here since 1993, and yet you have to have communication between the circuit clerk and the county clerk to make that process work correctly. And unfortunately, there's not enough training on the circuit clerk's end, and there's not enough communication between the circuit clerk and the county clerk to make that process work the way it should.
Democrats claim they're the party that supports immigrants. Well, are they when they're using immigrants to commit voter fraud, which inevitably causes these immigrants to have a harder time going through the proper immigration process and jeopardizes their ability to stay in the United States?
And unfortunately, like I said, erroneously, you've got the DMV people who are just backed up out the door, and you're trying to just process them like cattle. And unfortunately, the necessary time needed to be placed on this process is just not given.
You know, and that's like the most sacred thing, our vote. And if we can't make sure that that's, you know, just for American citizens and justly put, that's horrific.
And I agree wholeheartedly, and that's one of the reasons I've stayed in this position for 20 plus years. So.
The Kentucky governor's race. Right now, the Associated Press says this race is too close to call. You see the numbers on your screen right now. That's 100% of the precincts reporting.
The 2019 Kentucky gubernatorial election ended up being a nail-biter and a close race. The current governor, Republican Matt Blevin, has yet to concede because the race was only won by about 5,000 votes. Well, was it really won, or is election meddling at play?
Because of the litigation, because of what's going on right now, we are close to purging. So you can submit that, and I can promise you, as soon as it's possible, that will be done.
There's a reason we were deplatformed 14 months ago, and it's because Infowars has been over the target with something like a 98% accuracy rate. We have laid out everything that's going on, and folks are really paying attention now. That means now is the time to support the Infowar more than ever, and we're going to take this thing over the top together. Everything must go super sale, ladies and gentlemen. This sale on some items on the site is the biggest sale we've ever offered. 40 to 70% off, store-wide. Many of these are at cost or below because we're offering free shipping on every order and double Patriot points. Take advantage of the Everything Must Go sale, and the funds that come in allow us to fund ourselves into next year and order new product for next year at InfoWarsStore.com. That's InfoWarsStore.com, and thank you for your support.